Hi guys, happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. I was very fortunate to attend some of the largest trials in Chicago, going back to the early 1990s throughout the mid 2000s. And what's cool about trials, especially the federal trials, they're open to the public. Any one of us can go. So I highly recommend, if you have some time off and there's some cases that you're interested in, please check it out. Most of the federal trials are at the Dirksen Federal Building. And lately, there haven't really been too many trials that I've been interested in. But I may go to El Chapo's son's trial. He's being held right now in the MCC. And it's funny, he arrived at the same time they're having the Mexican Independence Day. So I may go to his trial. I'll keep you informed if I do. But probably the biggest trial I've ever been to was the Family Secrets trial. And I want to do a short story on a key piece of evidence that they showed in one of thousands of photos that they showed. This particular photo is the Last Supper. As we all know, the government alleged that this was actually the making ceremony of Joey the Clown Lombardo. Joey obviously denied being boss of the Grand Avenue crew. He flat out denied being part of organized crime. He said he never took an oath, that he never pricked his finger, and sure enough, never burnt a holy card in his hand, like Nick Calabrese testified when he was made. On the stand, when the prosecutor showed this photo on the big monitor for everybody in the courtroom to see, Mitch Mars tried to take Joey through every man in the photo. Joey denied knowing most of the men in the photo. He did admit to being a caddy for Jack Cerrone, underboss of Chicago outfit, and he said that Joey Doves Iupa and Tony Arcardo were real swell guys and pretty good golfers. Mitch Mars asked him, Joey, how did you end up sitting at a table or standing at a table with some of the most powerful men in the Chicago outfit, if not the country? And Joey's response was hysterical. He said that he was at a friend's funeral paying respect, and afterwards he had a taste for a nice roast beef sandwich. So we went to the restaurant, and some of the boys called him in to have a drink. Now, on the left there, one of my favorites, you got Joey Iupa, a.k.a. Joey Doves, Joey O'Brien, or the old man. This guy goes back to the Al Capone days. He rose through the ranks of the Chicago outfit and ended up being a top boss during the mob's heyday. He led the Chicago outfit with an iron fist. Violence was his method. And he ordered well over 100 hits. And two of the most infamous hits that he ordered were the Spilotro brothers. According to Nick Calabrese's testimony at the Family Secrets trial, right before Joey Iupa went away in the strawman case, he held a meeting with Joe Ferriola and Sam Carlisi and said, I want them both knocked down. Number one and number two. I don't care how you do it. Just do it. Now, unfortunately for Joey Iupa, him, his underboss, Jack Cerrone, and several others were convicted in the strawman case, skimming a few hotels and casino, just like the movie Casino. Joey served some time in prison, got out of prison, and died a few years later. Now, to Joey Iupa's right there, or to his left, was Dominic DeBella. He was actually a relative to Tony Arcardo, and Joey Lombardo said that the reason these men got together that day for lunch was that it was a going-away party for Dominic DeBella. And Mitch Mars asked him, what do you mean going-away party? And Joey said, well, he was dying of cancer. He was going around. You weren't going to see him anymore. And Joey commented how skinny the man looked. Right next to Dominic DeBella is outfit boss Vince Salerno. He was in charge of Rush Street, multi-million-dollar illegal gambling, extortion, prostitution ring. Vince Salerno actually gave the contract on the botched hit to kill Ken Ito. He was a bodyguard and personal driver for outfit heavyweight Ross Prio. He was also a very powerful union president. Vince Salerno never rolled, never cooperated, and passed away in 1992 of natural causes at home. Now, right next to Vince Salerno in the white shirt is boss of the Chicago Heights crew. You got Al Pilato. He was a big-time labor organizer and was actually a bodyguard of Al Capone. But back in 1975, there was an assassination attempt on his life. He was golfing. A guy came out from out of the tree, shot him a couple times. Somehow, he survived. And during this time, Al Pilato had a trial coming up with Tony Accardo and 12 other guys. So some of the FBI agents think that the mob bosses thought Al Pilato possibly could cooperate, and they didn't want to take any chances. Other agents and people close to the Chicago outfit thought that the hit might have been because he had a fallout with Caesar DeVarco. And the last theory was this was just a personal vendetta against somebody that despised Al Pilato. But I remember during the Family Secrets trial, Nick Calabrese testified that little Jimmy and him, when they jumped and got a hold of Nicholas DeAndrea, who was a heavyweight for the Chicago outfit crew, Carlisi was asking him and grilling him about the Al Pilato hit. And Nick said that Carlisi got carried away and he kept gun buddying, repeatedly hitting, cracking Nicholas DeAndrea in the head, eventually killing him. Now, standing up with a drink in his hand, underboss to Joey Aiuppa, Tony Accardo's right-hand man, you got Jack Cerrone. Everyone knows that Jackie was a very flashy dresser, somewhat of a GQ man, but a bad drunk. I'll never forget going to his restaurant called Two Jacks in the Grand Avenue neighborhood and seeing all these beautiful black and white frame photos of Jackie with all the celebrities and socialites in the country. Somewhat of a VIP, if you will. Unfortunately, though, for Jack, he was convicted with the guys from Kansas City, Joey Aiuppa and several others in the Strawman case. And he ended up doing about 10 years in prison before he died at the age of 82. Jackie Lackey Cerrone was also one of the men, along with Angelo LaPetria, James Turk Torello, that brutally tortured and killed Axon Jackson because they thought he was a rat. Till this day, a lot of Jack Cerrone's family own most of the buildings up and down Grand Avenue, between Grand and Halsted and Grand and Western. And they're right there in the suit, standing. You got Joey the Clown Lombardo, alleged boss of the Grand Avenue crew. He went away for convicted a Nevada Senator, Howard Cannon, for a trucking regulation bill. He was released. But one thing a lot of people don't know, when Joey was released in the early 1990s, he was shelved. He lost a lot of his men and lost most of his power. He still dabbled a little bit, but for the most part, he was pretty much shelved. But then he got pinched and indicted in the Family Secrets trial. And unfortunately for Joey, Joey was convicted for being part of the hitmen that killed Danny Seifert. Danny Seifert, as we all know, was going to blow the whole lid open on the Teamster Central Pension Fund, which was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That was what the prosecution referred to as the mob's golden goose. It was the Chicago outfit's piggy bank, if you will. They borrowed money from that pension fund to build all the hotels and casinos. Joey, Alan Dorfman, several others were involved in that. They warned Danny Seifert many times to back down. Danny didn't. So allegedly the hit team ended up killing Danny Seifert while his wife and son were there that day. Now in the back, when they asked Joey who this guy was in the white shirt, Joey said, "Who, that fat guy?" Everybody started laughing. But this here is James Turk Torello. My dad actually served in the Marine Corps with him at the Chosin Reservoir. And my dad told me that Turk was the toughest Marine. My dad was with real tough kids from Philly, Detroit, Cleveland, New York. And by far, Turk Torello was the toughest Marine. And then years later, my dad saw Turk at a bar in Melrose Park. He had no idea Turk's affiliation with the Chicago outfit. They reminisced about being in the Marine Corps. Turk bought my dad and his buddies a few drinks and left with his entourage. A couple weeks later, my dad read in the paper that James Turk Torello was an upcoming mob boss. Unfortunately for Turk, he died at a young age of only 49 years old of natural causes. And this is what piqued my interest in mob guys. After my dad told me the story of his Marine buddy, I went out and bought William Romer's books, started reading about the Chicago outfit. Then I went to my very first mob trial, the Gus Alex Trial in the early 1990s. And ever since, I've been hooked. Turk Torello was also one of the men present when they brutally tortured and killed William Axton Jackson. Sam Giancana thought that he was an informant. So Turk, Jack Cerrone, and Angela Petria brutally tortured this guy, ended up killing him. And afterwards, Turk questioned if he was an informant or not, meaning Giancana might have had it wrong. Now sitting right there next to Turk with the glasses, the little guy, is Joseph Caesar DeVarco. When they asked Joey Lombardo, he denied knowing Little Caesar. And Mitch Mars raised his voice and says, "We have surveillance of you having a beef, a major argument with Caesar DeVarco. And you're telling the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that you never met Caesar or you don't know him?" Joey says, "That's right, sir. You must have some wrong information." The whole courtroom starts laughing. But Caesar DeVarco, he took over the Rush Street crew after Vince Solano. Caesar did a lot of hits from Sam Giancana. He was eventually convicted in a RICO case, did 10 years, ended up dying in federal custody in 1986. Now that big guy in the white shirt sitting right next to Caesar DeVarco was Joe Amato, a.k.a. Black Joe, boss of McHenry County, basically boss of the northwest suburbs. He was retiring and being replaced by Jimmy Turk Torello at the time. Unfortunately, he passed away from natural causes in 1994, and he left the vast majority of his businesses to Solly D, some of them which are still being run today. But one thing all these gentlemen have in common, never any of them ever rolled, none of them snitched. They did their jail time. Nobody in this photo ever became an informant, unlike a lot of guys in Philly and New York City. And then last but not least, probably the most powerful, one of the most richest mob bosses in the history of organized crime. You got Tony Accardo, a.k.a. JB, Big Tuna, Joe Batters, boss of the Chicago outfit, one of Al Capone's personal bodyguards, one of Al Capone's personal machine gunners. He kept a very low profile, and like Anthony Volpendenzo was heard on tape during the Mike Sarno trial, Tony Accardo made millions. And we'll never forget when John Mendel and those burglars actually broke into Accardo's house when he was out in Palm Springs. We all know what happened to all those burglars. They were rounded up, brutally tortured, and killed to send a message. But this is a great photo. This is a great photo that they showed at the Family Secrets trial. And it was funny hearing Joey try to deny knowing all these gentlemen. Appreciate you guys taking time to watch my little short stories. Please hit the like button, subscribe. I enjoy all your comments. And my next show is going to be about this guy. This is a Chicago outfit associate who's in prison today. He'll probably never see the light of day again. I'll never forget seeing him at the Gus Alex trial. But this is Nick Geo, an outfit enforcer you don't really hear about. So take care. You guys have a good week and be safe.